Good morning. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements in a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry, and when your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Actually, today we have all 4 of our members present here in person. So any registered participants will be participating only by audio, and we ask that you mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto was covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considered applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to the property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Anyone who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, LPAT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure will be as follows. We'll call each item in the order listed in the agenda. And when your application is uncontested in making your submissions, the agent or applicant will proceed with a presentation of their application only if required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant, agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. And Ms. Alderson, who's watching the clock, will comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address when you start. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent, where an application is contested, will proceed first, make a presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee, in such event, in the event of revisions being requested by the applicant, may decide to defer the application if it's being substantially revised in order to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. After the applicant has presented their application, individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak, provided they've pre-registered to do so. And committee members, again, may ask questions of each speaker when they finish their presentation. When all other speakers have finished, the agent or applicant is given an opportunity to rebut only those issues that have been raised by the speakers, not to provide us with new evidence, but just to focus in on the issues and concerns and questions that are raised by the speakers. That will then mark the end of the discussion on application. The application is then taken into committee for a decision. To introduce, we have 4 members here in person here today. Mishi McCloskey down at the far left, Stan Kamerick, Laura Alderson, and my name is Michael Clark, and I'm your panel chair. Some preliminary matters to take care of. We have to confirm the minutes of the last meeting, which was October 6th hearing. That was actually for Etobicoke, York. We're actually, this hearing here today is a Toronto East York hearing, but we should approve the minutes. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes of October the 6th, please? I know Laura was here. Make a motion to approve the minutes. Thank you. Seconded by Stan Kamerick. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Do any of the members have any conflicts of interest to declare on this morning's agenda items? None to declare, okay. And we'll deal with the deferral requests as we proceed through the items. Okay, so in that case, we can get started. So computer starts in. The first item is item 1, 212 Donlands. And we have registered to speak the agent Rick Bongers, as well as the owners appear to be available to answer any questions and are on the line. We have no other speakers registered to speak on this application. This application is to alter the existing one-story detached dwelling by constructing a second-story addition and to enclose the existing front ground floor porch. There are 5 variances, and we have planning requesting a condition of approval in the event of approval regarding variance number 4 being tied to plans and being built substantially in accordance. Mr. Bongers.
Yes.
Good morning. Can you
Good
just?
morning.
I realize I haven't been doing this as much as I probably should be. You have to start off by stating your name and address. I know my, although I don't know if that's purely necessary because Adam does get you on the line and
It would
does
be
the
better to
introduction.
have,
So,
yes.
okay, we're going to start a new procedure here. That please state your name and address. And I don't think we need a presentation here, but we'll see if the committee members have any questions.
Okay. Rick Bonger, 75 Redwood Avenue. I'm acting on behalf of the homeowners as authorized agent.
Okay, you're aware of the staff condition, and that's acceptable, I assume, to you and your client?
Yeah, the impression I had with the staff report is they thought we were building over top of the enclosed porch, but it's on the front of the house. The second floor addition basically stays within the limits of the front wall and the bay window. The ground floor enclosure of the porch is basically just on the ground floor level. Nothing above that on the second floor.
Right. Well, that's I think that's why they want you to tie the approval of variance number 4 to your drawings, your site plan, your north elevation, and your south elevation and east elevation.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Let's see if committee members have any questions for you, or if not, if someone's ready to make a motion.
I'm good to go with the motion. I find the application to be minor and meeting the 4 tests. I would therefore like to move approval, subject to planning condition relating to variance number 4, that the proposal be tied substantially in accordance with the drawings.
I'll second.
Merrick, seconded by Mishi McCluskey. All in favor? You have your approval, Mr. Bongers.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, item number 2, 118 Ashdale Avenue. It's an application to construct.
Yes.
Yeah, this is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with rear basement, walkout front integral garage, and a rear ground floor deck. And there are 2 variances. Urban Forestry is requesting conditions 1 and 3. We have a copy of a previous decision on this address from February 2017. Good, and we have registered as speakers Shadi Arani. Can you start off by stating your name and address, please?
My name is Shadi Arani, and I'm here today on behalf of the owner of the property, 118 Ashdale Avenue.
Okay. Committee members, do you require a presentation to be made, or just have some questions for the applicant? Ma'am, you're aware of the forestry conditions? They're acceptable?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So would you like me to make a brief presentation, or?
I don't think that's necessary. Okay, I see I was one of the people approving your previous decision on the property from 2017, but I must say I don't quite remember it.
I wonder why.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Arani, or?
Can we just get a brief history? So is this an additional addition to the one that was done in 17 or an alteration to that?
No, so basically the one that got approved in 2017, it was by the previous owner and it was for an addition and renovation. The new owner would like to build a new house. So we understand that the
right,
approved
okay.
decision was only for an addition. And the new variances that we are requesting is actually way more minor compared to what got approved before. So the new development would be significantly less aggressive and more compliant with the bylaw compared to what we got approved for before.
Perfect. On that note, I think I'd like to move approval. I believe it is minor and it meets the 4 tests as just outlined, subject to forestry conditions 1 and 3.
I can second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Have your approval. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just a couple of points of clarification for item 3. Dugald Cameron, who was previously registered, will not be joining us. Neither will Robert and Gail Peaker, but Hubert Reese will be representing Robert and Gail Peaker.
Okay, who's representing Robert and Gail Peaker?
Hubert Reese.
Okay, oh, so he's on there. And Dugald Cameron at 10 Helena will not be joining us.
That's correct. Paul phoned both of them.
Okay, okay. And the agent is Michael Nicholas Schmidt.
Correct.
Okay, so this application, 2 Vaughan Road, is an application to alter the existing place of worship by constructing a single-story addition to provide an accessible lift and an ancillary space with new barrier-free entrance from grade. There are 2 variances associated with this this addition, dealing with the rear yard setback and the setback from a lot in a residential or park district. And we have forestry. I think they're just advisory comments. The agent is Michael Nicholas Schmidt. Are you here with us, sir?
Good morning.
Good morning. You want to please give us your, you're going to start off with your name and address?
Sure. My name is Michael Nicholas Schmidt of Larkin Architects, representing the owner at 2 Vaughan Road.
Okay, so I see that you've, one of these registered speakers you've spoken to and I guess satisfied their concerns because they're not going to be joining us, the next door neighbor at 10 Helena. And as well, we have some other speakers. So perhaps we can hear from them what their concerns are. I don't know if you're aware, Mr. Gail and Robert Peaker. Their address is 110 the Esplanade, Suite 907. So we'll have to hear what their involvement is with this application. And they're speaking on their behalf is Hubert Reese. Mr. Reese?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Can you start off? Let us just state your name and address for the record and let us know what your the concerns are on behalf of, I understand you're speaking on behalf of Robert and Gail Peaker of 110 the Esplanade.
My name is Hubert Reese, and my address is 3231 Eglinton Avenue East, Scarborough, Ontario.
Oh, I see. So you're representing the congregation.
That's correct.
That's why the Peakers don't live near the address. They're part of the congregation, but they're not necessarily, they're not a neighbor. Okay, so what did you like to tell us on behalf of the congregation?
So our main purpose is that the elevator would assist us tremendously. Most of our members are getting old and they find it very difficult to negotiate stairs. And that is one of the main purpose. In addition to that, we have to comply with the Ontario Disability Act of 2001.
Yes. So, Mr. Reese, so in fact, you're speaking, you sounds like you're in support of this application. You don't have concerns with it, do you?
As a member, we are, and representing the congregation, we are in full support of the application.
Okay, good to know. Obviously, it would be a good addition to the church and to make it more accessible to the congregation. So don't have comments in opposition. So, Mr. Nicholas Schmidt, would you like to add anything? It sounds like, there's no one here in opposition. Let's see if committee members have any questions for you. Or if not, if they're ready to, someone's ready to make a motion.
I just had one question. With regards to Urban Forestry's comments about the proposed barrier-free entrance, and they asked if it could be reduced in size or relocated to provide an opportunity to retrain the tree. Is there an alternative entry point for this walkway, or have other options been explored?
Yeah, so on the south side, as you point out, there's a new ramp that leads from the sidewalk to provide barrier-free access to the basement. We are in receipt of those comments from Urban Forestry, and we're working with our arborist. We think if we push the ramp over a couple feet and shrink it down to kind of the size required, just the minimum size required for a ramp, we can avoid removing all trees and keep the city trees. So we're just finalizing a revised arborist report, and we'll work with Urban Forestry to address that concern.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any further questions, or someone ready to make a motion?
I guess just a question of staff. I mean, is there a way to tie a condition to satisfactory approval of Urban Forestry of the resolution of the process that's going on, or is that even necessary?
In this case, Forestry hasn't addressed any comments, so they won't want a condition to clear if they haven't requested it.
Yeah, it's just advisory.
Yeah.
Okay, but they've raised concerns, but they haven't asked for a condition. Okay.
Yeah, they've cleared.
So sorry, I think the issue is that the tree in question is not related to the variance. It's on the other side of the building.
I see.
But when we get to a building permit and a tree injury permit or a tree removal permit,
address then. Okay, thank you.
that would be when it would come up. So we're gonna work with it. They're just letting us know, and we're gonna work with them to avoid that issue.
Thank you. Well, I mean, based on that, then I would propose to move approval without any conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Kamarick. Seconder for that motion.
I can second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? You have unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next application is item number 4. 185 Donlands Avenue. It's to reconstruct the existing front porch stairs of the 2-story semi-detached dwelling. There is one variance, and we have supporting material, which are photos. And that's all we have on this application. Registered speaker on this is Ram Jagdat, the agent, as well as the owner, Jan Vandermeulen, will be available for questions if required. Mr. Jagdat.
Yes, there are actually two variants. One is the front setback and one is the side setback. The front setback is allowed is 1.85 meters, whereas the current building is encroaching by 2.
It says the new platform approaches 2.15 meters into the required front yard setback and is 0.31 meters closer to the side lot line than the required setback. So there seems to be two things, but they're all contained in one sort of variance. So
okay,
it's what we have before us. But yes.
Just want to make sure we don't have to come back for a second one.
And sir, we have your supporting materials. We don't have any comments from city departments or from area neighbors on this. So let's just see if committee members have any questions for you, if someone's ready to weigh in with a motion.
I do have a note here that I'm missing the front elevation drawings, and perhaps I missed it going through it, but.
The front elevation drawing was submitted.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the south side elevation, but I didn't have a front west elevation existing.
Yeah, but exactly what we have there, whatever we have there, we are not changing anything. It will be exactly what is existing. The only reason for this variance is because the porch is cracking up and breaking because of the foundations being too shallow,
Mhm.
and the owner wants to rebuild it exactly to the same dimensions.
So there are no changes to the elevation of the front?
No.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for the agent or owner, or are we someone ready to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the application. Consider this minor in nature.
Okay, and there's no conditions. Motion by Ms. McCluskey. Any seconder for that motion?
I can second that motion.
Ms. Alderson, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Jagdat.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, our next item is item number 5. 170 Browning. And this is an application to alter a 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear 3rd-story addition, a front and rear additions to the basement level, a basement walkout, a rear deck, and interior alterations, including a new secondary suite in the basement. And there are 4 variances under the citywide bylaw, 1 variance under the old bylaw 43886 for height, which is, there's also a height variance under, which is variance 2 under the citywide bylaw. And we have planning comments requesting, in the event of approval, a condition of approval regarding variance number 2 to be built substantially in accordance. And we have support from the neighbor at 185 Fulton. Registered to speak is only the agent, no one else. Reiner Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer, are you with us?
I'm here, Reiner Hoyer, agent for the owner for 170 Browning.
Okay. Sir, I don't think we need a presentation from you, but let's see if committee members have any questions for you. Or if someone's ready to make a motion of approval. I see the neighbor at Fulton, that's behind the property?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, anyone have any questions for Mr. Hoyer?
Still getting there, hold on.
Yeah, is anyone ready to make a motion if there's no questions?
Sorry, Mike, I lost the file. I'm trying to get back to it.
Okay.
Question of the applicant. Are you okay with planning staff conditions on variances number 2 and 3?
Could you repeat the question again?
Are you okay with the conditions that planning staff has laid out for variances number 2 and 3? You're aware of them?
Yes, it's in compliance with the plan we submitted.
Okay, so you're okay with that? All right, so
Yes.
based on that, I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the application. I believe it is minor in nature and desirable.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Alderson.
Subject to the 2 planning conditions.
Yes, sorry.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, moving over to item number 6, number 6 is 130 Old Forest Hill Road. It just says Old Forest Hill Road.
Yeah.
And we have registered to speak Masa Kidler, agent, and the neighbors from 126 Old Forest Hill and 19 Rosemary Lane.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just another point of clarification. Paul tried to reach out to the neighbor at 126 Old Forest Hill Road, Lynn Factor,
Yes.
but was unable to reach them, so they will not be joining us. And for 19 Rosemary Lane, it will be Sherry Pinsler speaking on behalf of the household.
Okay, so let me just introduce this application. This is to construct, or actually maybe install, but we'll just maybe have some discussion on that, a fabric netting around the rooftop sports court with metal posts. And there are two variances. We have two previous decisions on this with respect to the height of the posts or the netting. There was a previous committee decisions on this. We're getting some interference from someone, but we have photos being provided and two previous decisions. This one I actually do remember that I was involved with, and this is we'll perhaps get a presentation on this application. Also, I just have a point for staff when I was reviewing this. Right, it looks like the maximum height approved in the previous decision of the committee increased the maximum height to 21.3. And I know it was late when I was reviewing this, but the height of the building isn't that less than what was approved, 23.19? Perhaps the agent can give us some information on this. It looks like, based on the description of variances, that's what permitted is more than what it's going to be by about 0.11 of a meter. Does anyone have any explanation for that, or?
It's 21.3 and this is 23.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was late when I did this. Okay. I looked at this and I just didn't see it. My mistake.
But it is written strangely because it should really state what the bylaw permits, not what the previous decision
Yeah, or at least both.
permits.
So again, I do remember this this application. And then it looks like there's been two applications. So let's, is the agent with us? Or owner?
Hello.
Mesa?
Hello, my name is Mesa Kider. I'm from 2MK Architects, address 3461 Dixie Road. I'm here for my client, Mitch Chang.
Okay. So can you just give us a brief history of this matter? This is a small 6-story apartment building.
Yes, it's an existing building.
Yes.
The previous approved permit in 2018 shows a sports court on the rooftop.
Yes.
When my client went to construct this sports court, the contractor, they built the sports court with these posts. So these posts are just like metal posts. They support the fabric net. There's no structure. This is all fabric and just a small metal post to hold them. This net is to protect the neighbors from any accidental falling pucks or volleyball or whatever sport, something falling from the sports court. And we think it's of a minor nature. Mm-hmm. And we would like to ask the committee to review and approve this.
Right, so they're playing hockey up there and tennis, or so it's to keep the balls or the pucks from leaving the court and going down 6 stories and hitting someone. So it sounds like it's almost a safety issue as well. But,
yes.
Okay. Why don't we hear from the neighbors what their concerns are, and then you'll have a chance to respond.
Oh.
And again, this is just for the post, so it doesn't mean that you can make the building 2 meters higher, but just with respect to the post to hold up this net. I don't know if that's...
Hi.
Okay. Okay, so we have the neighbor at 19 Rosemary Lane, Sherry Pinsler, registered as a speaker.
Yes.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Sherry Pinsler, and I'm the owner of 19 Rosemary Lane.
Okay.
Just by way of clarification, I know there were previous decisions related to this apartment building, and neither of them was specifically related to this issue. The first in 2017, I attended at the committee when the owner of the building wanted to enclose a patio that was on the rooftop in order to create an indoor area. And given the height of the building compared to everything in the neighborhood, behind it, obviously not on Eglinton, but everything in the neighborhood to the south, I expressed concern. The neighbor assured me that this was to my benefit, given the reduction of noise that would occur with the enclosure, and I didn't oppose it, nor did the other neighbors who showed up. The second application, and that of course increased the height of the building as well with an enclosure and a roof. Then the second application in 2018 also added yet another story on top of that, that first piece, and added another layer on top of the building. It was enclosed, and I quite frankly never received notice of that one. But my point here is that these holes and netting that are described, even though they're made out of fabric, from my backyard, look like chain link fences. They look like black additions above. While the idea is proposed for safety, which of course the building permit people required, because you can't have a hockey thing 6 floors up without safety. The sports court itself obviously has a problem, and it is you have to look at the entire piece altogether with the encroachment against the bylaw, trying to turn something minor. Every time it comes, it's minor. But after 3 applications to increase, this is a major, if you look at the entire height that's tried to be added to this building, that is not minor in height at all. Secondly, what's not minor about this variance is the impact that permitting this netting, which will allow this very noisy sports court to exist 6 stories up above a bunch of residential homes, is not minor either. The effect on the neighborhood is actually quite significant. And this is a sports court that is not under the category of an amenity of a building. This is a private use item for the owner of the building who lives in the penthouse and has already built on top and on top. So personally, I couldn't find in the bylaws where sports courts were permitted and roof use like this was. And there is a safety issue. There is a big noise issue that will spread, hockey pucks slamming against boards, basketballs, tennis balls, whatever it is, soccer balls being used up there. The sound travels further than anyone who's received notice, just the few houses around it. So I think that the variance requested is actually of significant and not minor impact to the neighborhood. In terms of, you know, and I mentioned the owner's awareness of the noise issue coming from rooftop buildings. Yeah. In fact, while I can't find anything about a sports court on a 5 or 6 story building, I did see that the City of Toronto did a study related to rooftop use and patios on in a commercial nature. And while the coverage area of most of those is much smaller, the city enacted bylaws specifically dealing with these kind of issues related to noise. And they specifically prohibited recreation facilities as rooftop amenities. Yeah. So I'm quite concerned that this is going ahead, and it's definitely not a minor issue in the city. It's also not desirable under the second head of the test or appropriate development or use of the land or building. And it is, it's really, you know, for personal use and a whim of the owner, ignoring the bylaws and just building and creating, you know, whatever single-use property he wants on the top of this apartment building. Yep. I think the bylaws are there to protect the entire neighborhood. And certainly this sports court and its netting and poles and all aspects of it do not meet the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaws, right? It's not allowing green space, and it certainly doesn't allow for, around it. In fact, it increases the differential between the entire residential neighborhood behind it, adds an additional noise level, and is certainly affecting all houses on this street.
Okay.
It doesn't, and I did have one other thing. I told you how unsightly it is. And, you know, the one, I just wanted to comment in the application, I did notice that the one supporting document indicated that the sports court was necessary because during the pandemic, the children who lived there needed some kind of outside space. Bear in mind that at 130 Forest Hill, it is an actual 2.5-minute walk to a wide open green space at Chaplain Crescent, which was never closed even during lockdown. The rest of the second story addition, as you can see from the plans that were submitted, includes an indoor exercise room, golf simulator, and other large space. The pandemic will end, and there's going to be, you know, 2 hockey teams playing hockey 6 stories up. So I and the other neighbors are quite concerned about the netting.
Watching the clock or no?
At the sports court. Thanks.
Yes, she's.
Okay,
so-
thank you, Ms. Pinsler. We let you go on a little bit there, but in any
Thank you
event,
for that.
I do remember this application. The first application that you were present on, I think, to use a portion of the balcony for the additional living space. Is that the area that they're now using as a sports court?
Exactly. They're trying to
And
go
then they
above
came back,
that.
and then they came back the second time, which it appears I wasn't there. I was off that committee already, where they added a second story to the penthouse unit, which the owners are living in. And now they're coming back. So I hear what you're saying in terms of, I remember one very prominent architect when house he used to live in Cedarville, he came back, so he 5 or 6 times a little bit at a time, because it's, you know, so I agree. Let's say if we looked at all 3 of these variances at once, so the netting is up already, it looks like, from the picture. Is it up or is that a rendering?
Oh, yeah. And we
Okay,
wondered what it was doing there.
Okay, so the question is, you know, you're right, if they're playing hockey up there, whether it's with, you know, rubber balls or with real pucks, I don't know if it's
Exactly.
ice, I don't know if there's ice down there or if it's just like a ball hockey thing. There is a safety issue. What's before us, Ms. Pinsler, is only the height variance. There's no issues. We don't get into issues of noise bylaws and issues of that. Let's see if committee, so first of all, we have to let the applicant, yeah, so I agree, this is sort of someone's using this, it's not to the apartment building, it's to the penthouse unit. So this sports court, what has it been used for to date? It has been used for hockey as well, or for their, and you're saying it creates noise for the neighborhood?
I'm assuming ball hockey. Not real hockey, ball hockey.
Ball hockey is I don't know if it's flood, well, I guess they could flood it, I don't know.
There was some,
Do you want to let
in the
respond, or do we
notification that was
question?
sent out,
Yeah.
sorry, from the building committee or the building permit people, they seem to indicate the possible use of ice. It seems if there's something combustible. I'm not really sure what their plan is.
Can't put ice up.
Okay, so let's give the agent an opportunity to respond, and then we'll see if committee. Before we do that, does anyone have any questions for the neighbor?
I actually have a question. So the netting has already been installed, and how long has it been installed for?
You know, it's been there for, this whole thing has been there for a few months. We didn't know why there was netting exactly, and we kept saying, what could they possibly be thinking of building now, going up? We didn't know if it was, or maybe it was for a repair, and then we finally got this notice related to this. So they've built the whole thing, and now we're asking for retroactive
Yeah.
approval.
So how long has it been up for, roughly?
You know, I didn't notice a date. We were trying to remember in the house, and it's definitely been there for a little while because
Okay.
we've been outside all summer noticing the net.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to ask the applicant as well when he goes back to refer to his plans. I'm looking at the plan here. Are we talking about, is it the upper penthouse terrace or the existing lower at penthouse? It looks like I see there's a golf simulation room, there's an existing roof mechanical room, exercise room, and then it says upper penthouse terrace, lower roof at penthouse level. So I'd like to, first of all, if you can identify where this hockey or sports court is. and then respond to the
Yes,
concerns of the neighbor.
this sports court is happening on the upper penthouse.
Okay.
I just want to clarify and respond to the neighbor. This building is existing. Like we didn't build, my client did not build a new floor or add a floor. This floor was existing. He just reutilized the space.
Yeah,
So
so what was it being used?
existing
We
space-
realize you're not building anything, you're just putting up the netting, but when it was built, what was it
Yeah.
built for, and what was it being used for before the netting? What was the
The
intent
net?
for?
Okay, so the previous permit issued in 2018 shows the sports court. And my client finished all the alterations on this upper penthouse level in 2019, mid or end of 2019. So that includes this sports court. So that was end of 2019.
Okay, but was it labeled as a sports court when they got that approval on the other one? When they
Yes,
built
yes,
the
yes.
penthouse?
You can. I have sent the issued permit in 2018 to the Committee of Adjustment. I can resend again if you want, but you probably have a copy of this.
Okay, but what I'm saying is on your plans, it's not called a sports court, it's called an upper penthouse.
No, it shows a sports court.
Okay. Okay, anyway, let's, so can you please respond, what about the issues of the, I understand what's before us now is only the height variance for the posts and the netting.
Yes. So there are no actually two hockey teams playing there. It's just for the kids to play, maybe a couple of kids. It's not like an official hockey game.
Yeah.
They play whenever they have like spare time. I don't think there is like a huge noise issue on a daily basis. It's just like if you live near a community center, you would hear the same thing on weekends. I don't expect them to play daily all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, but it's not a community center. I'm just looking at these pictures. But in any event, I guess the boards, I don't know if that was, were the hockey boards shown on the last application? Or was just, this was just the patio
It's a
sort of?
removable structure.
The previous issued permit shows a sports court.
Okay.
So that sports court is like a multi-use sports court.
Yeah, how big is it? How many square feet is it approximately?
They have like a basketball post and the hockey.
So how big? It's
ball.
not a regulation hockey. It's hard to tell from the picture how big
No,
it is.
it's not.
It's not a regulation.
No,
hockey
it's a
rink.
small one.
It's a small. So what are we talking? Is it in square feet or in length by width?
Their feet. 1 second, I have all the measurements.
Both the whole sports court, and then also like if we're talking about the hockey is only part of it because you also have the basketball, or it's the same area, just multi-purpose, and they put it up. I see it's sort of hanging over. In the picture I have here, it looks like the basketball net is sort of on the side.
Is on one
It's
side.
using the same area, correct? The same
Yes.
floor area. Yeah, it looks like there's even the lines down for the hockey. There's proper hockey boards up there.
Yes. So this is approximately 6.5 meters by 17.2 meters. So it's not like a regular
Sorry, what's that in
hockey
feet?
court.
Can you give me that in feet, please? What did you say? I missed
Feet. Yeah.
approximate.
In feet, we have 56 feet by 28 feet.
Okay. Okay, would anything else you'd like to add, or let's just see if committee members have any questions for you or the neighbor, or they're ready to make a
I
decision.
have a number of questions.
Okay, Mr. Kamarick.
First off, so these posts that you're seeking the variance for, do they already exist?
Yes.
Yes.
So when were they erected?
End of 2019.
Okay, and I see some photos with netting and an open sky, and I see some pictures with netting covering the court as well. So which is it, or which will it be?
The netting is all around. It's like a U shape, like there's a small.
Okay, but
it's
is there any
like
net,
covering.
is there netting that goes from one side to the other that covers the surface of the court as well?
Yes, it covers the surface at the ends, and then in the middle there's like a small opening.
Okay, so part of it is open and part of it is closed?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any restrictions on the hours of use?
Restrictions? This is for personal use.
I understand that,
I
but
don't know.
does the building itself have any restrictions on hours of use on the court?
It's obviously no.
So
No.
the answer is no. So then, in other words, this can
No.
happen at any time of the night or day.
I assume there aren't any lights there, but there could be. Question is, this is just for the family living in the penthouse unit. It's not for
I
an
understand
amenity
that.
for the whole.
Exactly.
But what I'm getting at is that, you know, if someone
very
goes out there at
privileged,
2 in the
actually.
morning and
Yes.
decides to shoot a puck,
Yeah.
they can, other than, you know, being called on the noise bylaw.
Yeah.
It's a very privileged situation, actually. I think the neighbor, if I'm not mistaken, had a concern with the aesthetics as well as the noise. So I think that's part of it. Part of the issue is the aesthetics of it.
I have one more question, if I may.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sure, go ahead, Stan.
This is a permanent structure. This isn't something that's going to be taken down, put up, like taken down over the winter and then put back up or anything like that. This is a permanent structure, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, because I noticed you have roof cleaning anchors there as well, so you may have lost some of that, just an observation with building over there. And anyway, that's just an observation. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Alderson, you said you had a question as well, or?
I was just looking at the list of revisions to these plans. It looks like there's, as the neighbor pointed out, it looks like they've been issued and then reissued and revised and then updated. You know, it is, you know, it's done in small increments, so you don't notice what's really happening up there. The fact of the matter is now that, you know, the court exists and the netting around the sports court exists. So we have to make a decision about whether that is permissible.
Well, my actual issue with that is that this should in fact be an after-the-fact application.
Yeah.
The only reason it isn't is because there was no stop work permit. But this should have been a double fee after-the-fact application because it's clear that it was, I mean, the agent has just stated that it was done a year ago.
Yep, I agree.
Someone ready to make a motion?
How do we deal with that?
Motion to approve or a motion to refuse? Based on, you know, it's correct, there are 2 variances for us for height, but if you look at the first application and you look at the type of the amount and the degree of the variance that have already been granted to this property, the use is not, but it is certainly related to that. They couldn't, unless they had these various variances, they wouldn't be able to have that. use. And the question is if they came back in 2017 and had this all before the committee at that time, when you look at the, you know, the generous variances that were granted, and then a second floor was put on the penthouse unit. And
Yeah.
you're right, someone at grade could have this.
So one last question to the
6
applicant.
stories up in the air.
What has triggered you to file this application now?
Okay, so as I mentioned, there was an approved permit issued in 2018. The construction showing this sports court, and the contractors finished the work in 2019. So
Okay, but they finished
inspector went
what
on site.
portion of the work? They installed the posts that were not subject to the variance that you're now seeking?
Yes, I can explain this. Like, actually, my client, he thought this is just a sports court, and then the contractors, they built this sports court without getting back to us. If we would have known from the beginning, we would have shown it on the permit. But this has just happened, and then the inspector went on site, and he noticed that these posts are high, and he requested that we submit a revision permit. So we submitted a revision permit, and then the zoning notice came saying that this height is higher than the approved.
Yeah.
So we just want to confirm that this is not a structure, this is just a post, and this sports court was approved from the beginning.
Okay. Okay, Stan, that was a very good question, Mr. Kamarick. I'll tell you why. Because when I look back at the original application, okay, and actually, maybe no, the second one, when they put the second floor, one of the variances, and I believe this is very relevant, was the floor levels, variance 2, with an addition, extension, or enlargement to the rear of a residential building may not be higher than the uppermost floor in the level of building. The floor level here will be 3.3. I guess they left the word meter out. Higher than the existing uppermost floor. So you were given, your client was given the benefit of having this deck where it otherwise shouldn't be, and now they're coming back next year, 2 years later, and saying, yeah, now we want to have this sports court with the netting, which I agree is a safety issue, provided they are playing hockey or tennis or whatever else, or basketball up there. They don't want the ball going over, and then it's even a safety issue. But the issue is having a sports court that you'd have their eyes in a single-family home on the ground level being 6 floors up in the air. And again, that variance number 2, I can assure you back in 2018, if that variance would likely not have been given if they knew that what was planned for up there was a fulsome sports court. So that would just be my comment.
I think the applicant has another alternative here, other than applying for these variances. The owner could have gone back to the contractors and say, okay, you've got to build the post within the height that's permitted, because that's what we were granted in the original application. And then you don't need this application at all.
You're at 2 meters.
Yeah, but maybe they were not aware that this is a huge issue. Like, the contractor was not aware of that, and he came to this point. I want to explain another thing. The reason that this project has been going in phases is because my client is living in this unit. So they were living in one side of the unit and then renovating the other. And that's why this project has been going for all this time, and all the permits were submitted in phases.
May I ask
No,
then,
I
when you
appreciate that's why they didn't. I'm not trying to imply that your client had some nefarious purpose and knew back in 2017 that they were going to do that. But they realized then they have this area up there, and especially maybe with COVID or before COVID, to have a place for their children to play is a very great thing to have, provided it isn't outweighed by the inconvenience on the neighborhood and the neighbors by having a sports court 6 stories up in the air. The other thing, Mr. Kamarick, I guess the reason they couldn't do that is if the netting only went up 2 meters less, it wouldn't be effective, right? So it would be 6 feet lower than it is, which you couldn't play in there. So that wouldn't be acceptable. That wouldn't work. But I'm not trying to say, I'm just saying it relates back to the use. It relates back to the use. It's similar to having playing basketball in a single-family home backyard, and in order to have done that, they've exceeded the hard surface in order to put the basketball court. So the question is, basketball in the backyard isn't prohibited, provided again you don't get into noise bylaws issue, but it's not permitted. It's not prohibited per se, but the fact that you have hard landscape, that's how the hard landscape would say that. So I think we're in the same situation here. We're not saying that the height of this netting, but the issue is by giving that, what the effect is. Anyway, I think we've spent a lot of time on this application, so I think it's time for someone to make a motion. unless there's any follow-up questions.
It is a tough one. I'm actually looking at a photograph of the side of the sports court, and I noticed that it's up. It looks like it's up, I'm going to guess, 2 feet. The height is 2 feet from the actual concrete floor.
They're going over the roof anchors and other items that would have been on the foundation. They're basically abandoning that certain building over top of it.
So there's no way of lowering that so that everything is lower, is my question.
They're trying to clear all those obstructions.
Okay.
I don't think it's possible.
We're in committee now.
to lower
We're in
the-
committee now.
the
Can you
platform.
please cut her off? We're not.
Yeah,
committee
there's
now,
three,
so-
there's 3 steps. It
Unless
looks like,
someone
it
asks a
looks like a
question,
good,
we don't.
it looks like a good 2 feet up, anyway. I also wanted to know where the decision was that actually granted approval for a sports court. I don't see it in my package. Is there a particular page?
I don't know that it specifically referred to a sports court. I
not.
think it just was shown on the plans.
Okay. Because it seems to me that should have
Yeah,
been
we just referred to it,
specified.
the plan before us now, what it's called on that plan. I think it was called the upper penthouse terrace. And there was a existing lower roof at penthouse level. Those are on the applicant's current plans. Okay. Any further questions or comments? Motion.
If I may say that I think the neighbor laid out a very good rationale why we should not be approving this application. So I think I am going to put forward a motion to not approve or disallow. Refuse, thank you, that's the word I'm looking for. Refuse the application.
See, we refuse so little applications, we don't even know what.
I refuse so many applications, yes.
Okay, a motion for refusal, or a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Shi. All in favor? Unanimously refused. Thank you, applicant. Thank you, Mrs. Pinsler. Okay, we'll now move on to the next application. Item number 7.
Yes, hi.
65 Walmsley. Can you just hang on for a second, please? While I introduce the application. It's an application. Hold on. An application for, this is to alter a 3-story detached dwelling by enclosing the existing porch and constructing a front basement walkout. And there we have a pad permit license for this property. And there are 2 variances. Basically, there's an FSI. I assume you're already over, so I just ask what it is now. We have a previous decision.
That's correct.
With transportation comments. They have no objection to the existing front yard parking space being maintained. And we have 22 form letters in support. Registered to speak, Deborah Fenwick. Mrs. Fenwick, are you with us?
Yes, I am. It's Deborah Fenwick, and I am the agent for the owners at 65 Walmsley.
Okay, it looks like you did your homework and you have 22 support letters, no opposition letters. We have a copy of a previous decision on the property. Is there anything you'd like to add, or I'll just see if committee members have any questions for you?
No, only if they have any questions.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I had a question. So you're going from to 0.86 times the area of the lot for the FSI.
Yes.
Permitted is 0.69. I assume you're already over that?
Well, we had a previous addition, I believe it was about 6 or 7 years ago, which was over an existing lower story addition. So basically, we're just increasing it by 70 square feet, which is just enclosing the existing porch for a mudroom. That's all.
I was looking at what was on the last application, but you answered, the information is there. You already went up to,
Yes,
to 0.86. Now you're going to 0.88. So you're going, it's very,
that's
very
correct.
small. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see if committee members have any questions for you.
The basement, is it habitable space?
It is habitable space. The only reason that they need the front walkout is because between the two houses to get to the backyard is literally 2.5 feet on one side and even narrower on the other side. They have 3 boys with bikes and hockey. All 3 of them are in hockey, and it is really difficult to get the bikes out from the backyard and the hockey bags in and everything like that. So the reasoning for coming in the front is just.
I get that. And
Oh,
there's
okay.
and there's no way to do stairs from the back.
Yeah, you couldn't get to, like, we don't have a lane access on the back, so it's still the same issue of trying to drag big, massive bags and bikes down this sort of very narrow.
So this
lane.
isn't a precursor to a basement apartment application?
Oh, no, 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 this is a single family home.
Right.
There's
Perhaps-
3 boys.
Perhaps they need a rooftop sports court. That would solve all their problems.
No, nothing like that.
He's not playing on the roof at Old Forest Hill.
No.
Okay, so and I see you do have 22 letters of support, so. You went around and got a lot of, went to visit all your neighbors.
I wanted to make sure it was good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, committee members, are anyone ready to make a motion?
I'll move to approve. Consider this proposal to be desirable for the appropriate development and context of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McCluskey.
I can second that.
Okay, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, the next application is item number 8, 144 Hastings Avenue. This is to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached house by reconstructing the front 3rd-story dormer, constructing a rear 3rd-story dormer. A new carport will also be constructed in the rear yard, having access via the existing right-of-way. There is one variance. Looks like the FSI is from 0.6 to 1.08 times coverage, but I was able to find somewhere in the materials that the existing is 1.0586. So it's very, very minor. Registered to speak on this application is Ben Baghdadi, the agent. Mr. Baghdadi.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members of the committee. This is Bamdad Ben Baghdadi from BBA Design Studio. I'm the architect and the applicant for this application.
Okay. Yeah, we have your covering letter, and that is actually all we have. We don't have any comments from neighbors or city departments. So unless there's something you'd like to add, let's see if committee members have any questions for you.
Sure.
Yeah, we have read your covering letter. You give some examples of other approved FSIs in the area. And was I correct in stating that there's virtually zero increase in here, but you're already way over, the existing property is already way over what's permitted? Correct?
Yes, what we are adding is just 1.85% or 2.7 square meter, which it's some part of it is in the back and some part is the widening the existing dormer at the front. The roof slope is pretty intense and the habitable space on these 2 rooms are really small. So we are trying to square off the back and by raising the roof to add some space to the rear bedroom and widening the front dormer to increase the usable space of the front bedroom.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Baghdadi, or is someone ready to make a motion?
Have you spoken to the neighbors surrounding the lot?
We spoke to our next door neighbor at 146, and because they didn't want us to go past to the rear wall of the existing third floor, so we respected their wish. And as a result, we just squared off the existing dormer in the back and add a little bit to the dormer at the front.
Thank you.
No other neighbors had any concerns to our application.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions or for Mr. Baghdadi, or ready for a motion?
No, I'm good. I find the application to be minor and meeting the 4 tests, and therefore would like to move approval without any conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Kamarick.
I'll second.
Ms. McCluskey, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Committee.
Perhaps we can take a 5-minute break. We're right on schedule, so we will come back, do item numbers 9, 10, 11, and 12, and 13, and we'll just take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, actually, that last one I should have talked.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly in here. Yeah, well, yeah. Makes it even colder is the granite or whatever this is, marble granite.
She had a reasonable explanation.
I'm sure they're not going to be. Yeah, really, and you know, as the woman said, it's like a 5-minute walk, a 2-minute walk to a very large. I mean, yeah, sure, everybody wants it. I mean, private place. That doesn't make sense. You want your own private place?
Better than, well, I'm saying it's good.
It's a new thing here, I think.
I've been here for a while.
I've never tried it.
I already pre-ordered my food review on board.
For when? For home?
Oh, yeah?
You didn't ask for anyone else, Robin. It's too late now.
DoorDash is what does that?
I never tried DoorDash.
I think so.
We just don't do the briefing because I don't think you can do social distancing back there. But if you want to go eat your lunch. Yeah. I think they're too nervous. But you guys have been on top of everything and there's none of the late material.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
They're trying to get us to get rid of it. We're like, no. Oh, that's disgusting.
That's why I would always ask for presentation, so we give you a chance to read it.
You combine like this with, I remember.
Yeah.
That, like you used to get those, you used to like courier them too. Yeah.
Yeah, Friday night, so yeah, the courier was much better, much less staff was collating, putting the book together, printing.
Yeah. A lot more eco-friendly too.
Well, I arrived late at the briefing, and we first got the computer, but I could have sworn, I thought someone said they said they're saving $1 million a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
A lot
that
of money,
much.
but it doesn't sound like it, yeah.
No, the biggest savings could be courier fees.
No, I think it was for, no, it was for the, so for like the life of the laptop, because the laptop would last like, sorry, it's for one, I think it was one committee term, so 4 years.
Yeah.
That I can see, because then there's the printing cost for the courier.
Yeah, so for the.
Printing isn't that expensive.
Printing?
Printing's not cheap.
No, it's not, yeah, it's not, I remember Michael was telling me about it, I was having a conversation with him like just when we were, like when we implemented it, like, remember when he came by?
No, but I mean, you're right that it's over the
Yeah, maybe for over 4 years, maybe it's $1 million
No, but
over 40.
I remember looking at the printing cost, and I was like, whoa, that seems high.
Especially with all these new members.
Yeah.
My God, the sun is out. Oh, Misha's not here.
We'll just wait for you.
Oh, that one's not.
It is pretty chilly in here. Actually, I'll just put my poncho on as a lap blanket. Okay, Michael, I think we're on.
Okay, we're back. And our next item is item number 9, 2 Chilton Road. It's an application to reconstruct the detached garage to the rear of the existing 2-story detached house. And there are 3 variances. The speaker, we have registered the agent, Alexander Hadges. And on this application, we have 3 variances. We have a covering letter, and we have support from One River Court. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Can you start off with your name and address, please?
Certainly. My name is Alex Hadges. My address is 2 Chilton Road, and I am the homeowner.
Okay. So you want to rebuilding your garage, and you have 3 variances. Very straightforward.
Yes,
We don't
correct.
have any conditions being requested by city staff. We have support from one of your neighbors. Let's see if committee members have any questions for you.
I did until we saw that there was additional support from the other neighbor at 4 Chilton as well. So that was.
Yeah, we also on this application did receive additional
supplement.
materials that was filed on time but didn't make it into our package. So we did receive that separate email on this application.
Yes, that's correct. I was going to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions, or are we ready for a motion?
No questions. That was the only missing piece for me. So given that, I feel that the application is minor and meets the 4 test, and would like to therefore move a motion for approval without conditions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kamarik's motion, seconded by Ms. McCluskey. All in favor? You got unanimous approval.
Thank you, sir.
Enjoy your new garage.
We'll have you over for a beer.
Okay. Item number 10 is 179 Cedric Avenue. This is an application to construct a front yard parking pad that faces an abutting street. There are 3 variances. And on this application, we have transportation services is recommending refusal. We have the agent requesting a deferral, I assume in light of the transportation position on this application. And registered as speakers, we have the agent, or the owner, Anthony Dominic Petrucelli at 179 Cedric.
Yeah, hey guys. I don't know if I need to add anything more, really. I'm just, obviously, as you noted, just based on the advice of staff, I'm going to take it back and make some revisions. So that's why I'm deferring at this time.
Okay, you're requesting deferral.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to ask a committee for deferral. I taken, so you got the planning memo, I guess. Transportation September the 30th that came through. Have you been in touch with them at all to discuss, or? And as well, staff.
Yeah, I spoke.
Planning the same thing.
I spoke with Rebecca directly a few times. So we've talked about a few different ways things can get changed. So I need a little time to go back and revise my application.
Okay, so this is a Toronto East York, and they're not very happy with deferral. So you feel there is something else you can do to change your application, as it's not just a question of that it faces an abutting street and you can't have it, or you feel there is some way you can make
I have to go through the essentially to be honest, I wish I was a little bit more informed in the process. As I was starting off the advice of staff, I filed the committee of adjustment application, and then in speaking with Rebecca, she was like, that actually isn't the first step you should have taken. You should have spoken to me. But then based on that, I essentially have to go through them for an application, and then I would actually come back to the committee of adjustment for a revision. But as it stands right now, it makes 0 sense to proceed. I wasn't aware of that at the time.
Okay. And I guess since you got this and, you haven't had time to make those revisions. So, okay, committee members on the issue of deferral.
I'll move a deferral so that the applicant has time to reprocess with transportation services.
Okay.
If I could just.
Thanks, everyone.
Friendly amendment to that. And also Urban Forestry had a condition too as well, so if you want to consult with them in addition to that.
No, there is an urban.
Yeah, I absolutely will.
Okay, so we have a motion, seconder, all in favor, matter is deferred. Good luck with that, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Next application is item number 11, 55 Squires. And this is an application at the rear of a, it's sort of written that, at the rear of a 1.5-story detached dwelling, construct a detached garage. One variance, the side yard setback for an ancillary building. Very straightforward application. We have registered as speakers Gianni Regina, the agent, and Loretto Scarola, the owner. No other speakers. And before us on this application, we have just nothing whatsoever, no communication from city departments or from area.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Gianni will not be joining us. The owner, Loretto Scarola, will be presenting the application.
Okay. Mr. Scarola.
Yes, hi.
Welcome, sir.
I am, thank you for having me.
Okay.
I am the owner of 55 Squires Avenue.
Okay.
And basically right now on the property, there is a shed.
Yep.
And I just for this, just the sake of parking purposes and keeping a car off the street, and as well as some additional storage and whatnot, I'd like to construct a garage on the property.
Okay. And your only variance is a 1 meter or almost 2 meter side yard setback for the building, but there's no concerns from anyone.
No.
Committee members, is anyone ready to make a?
I have a question.
Motion, you have a question.
You have a,
yes.
Currently you have a curb cut, and I'm assuming you're using it as a parking spot next to your house?
Correct.
So,
well, I've also been in touch with the transportation, and with regards to a curb cut, and I've been waiting for months on end to obtain an estimate, but they have given me an approval from the bylaw officer that it is, I'm okay to get the curb cut. I'm just waiting for them, and I've sent several emails just to get this estimate.
yeah, again, I'm surprised that it's not before us, because typically what they would have a condition that they would grant you the new curb cut on the condition that you agree to closing the old curb cut.
I am going to do both.
Because I'm assuming you're not going to keep the other curb cut.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
So no, I'm closing the one, and which I told them and promised them that would be done.
That's fine. And I was hoping to, I'd like to move a motion to approve, but I just wasn't sure how to do that, and maybe, whether I should be tying that to the curb cut being closed or not. Question for staff, I guess, on that.
No, things are a bit different in the Toronto East York District. They're very diligent about following up on that, because front yard parking curb cuts are very sensitive down there. So if they haven't asked for a condition, it's not required.
Yeah, that's, normally the issue, especially in downtown neighborhoods, but the curb, because every time you do a pad parking, you lose a street spot.
Oh, no, I'm well aware of it. I mean, I live in Toronto, East
yeah,
York, and
right.
I've got a number of neighbors that have redundant curb cuts, and the other neighbors are, like, it's a huge issue.
Well, so perhaps is there in the abundance of caution, since the applicant has said he's certainly prepared to do that, and it would be at his cost, obviously, to create the new curb cut and close up the old one, restore the curb, perhaps would it hurt to make that as a condition of Mr. Kamara?
I mean, would it hurt to just say that, we move approval based, on the condition that the existing curb cut be addressed or be closed as per transportation?
I'm good with that. Yes.
Hold on, it can't be to the satisfaction of transportation because they haven't asked for that. But is there a curb on this street? I just want to confirm that.
It's a sidewalk. It's a sidewalk that's basically, there's a curb incorporated into the sidewalk.
No, but there's
an existing curb cut at the rear of the property in the sidewalk.
Is that on Squires or Homestead?
It's on Homestead.
It's on Homestead.
And he will require a new curb cut where the garage is going to go.
Right, so what I'm saying, there is no curb. Looking at the map of the area,
There's a
can you
sidewalk.
share that? There's a sidewalk, but we can't call it a restoring a curb because there is
No,
no
what you're
curb.
doing is you're removing the curb cut. You're removing the
You're moving
dip in the sidewalk.
So you can use wording like the existing driveway shall be removed.
Okay. It's not really a driveway, that's why. It's not a legal driveway, right?
Yeah, and it's actually, it almost looks like from that picture you just put up that it was actually an asphalt.
It's gravel.
It's gravel, so it has to be restored to a, not that it doesn't look like the rest of the sidewalk's really high there anyway from the picture, but it shouldn't have that depression.
So what in fact what we would like to put in there would be that the existing city boulevard be restored to green space as well.
So what about the existing parking area shall be removed and restored with landscaping? Is that
Sure.
okay.
Okay, so that's your motion?
Sure.
Seconder for Mr. Komarik's motion. Ms. Alderson, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, our next application is item number 1265 Melbourne Avenue. It's an application to alter the existing two-story townhouse by constructing a rear one-story addition with a terrace above. There's one variance. The townhouse depth, 14 meters to 18.6. We have photos on this application in support. We have 3 letters of opposition, including 169 Cowan and 63 right next door, 63 Melbourne. It looks like everyone is okay with the addition, but not with the terrace above.
Yeah.
And registered to speak on this application is, is Chris Marcus, the agent, as well as 2 members in opposition, the ones who wrote in, 169 Cowan and 63 Melbourne. So is Chris Marcus there, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, yeah.
Yes. Please state your name and address to start off.
Chris Barker, 65 Melbourne Avenue.
Okay, why don't you give us a presentation? We have the pictures you've sent in support,
Yeah.
and we have the opposition letters, which I trust you have read.
Yes, I have, yes.
Aside from that, the only condition we have from staff being requested is urban forestry requesting condition number 2. So can you give us a bit of a history explanation of what you want to do and why you want to do this and why it's appropriate? I assume it's a one-story addition at the rear. It's just how many townhouses are there in the row of townhouses here?
There's 6 which are divided by an access lane.
Okay, and I assume no one else has a one-story addition?
Well, someone has a 2-story addition.
I see, okay. So if you can just give us a presentation taking into consideration, you'll have a chance to respond from the neighbors, but I guess you've seen their letters as well.
Yes, Mr. Chair, yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to say, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd like to say we've lived in the house for 15 years and we love the neighbourhood. But obviously city living means sort of living in close proximity to our neighbours with limited sort of privacy in the backyards. I'd like to point out, sort of looking south, that all of the backyards are overlooked by each other. When we sort of proposed the extension, we've sort of considered carefully what we wanted to do, including a 2-story extension. But we do recognise that would impact directly on our neighbours.
So which neighbour has the 2-story addition?
The 2-story addition is, I think it's one. Sorry, let me have a look. It's 57 Melbourne, because the row houses are divided into 2 lots of 3. Right. So yes, the furthest one in that view has a 2-story addition, and also
So
a
they don't-
dormer on the attic.
So they have a
Roof.
two-story addition. You're proposing a one-story addition with a terrace above.
Yes,
That
yes.
seems to be what's triggered the concern from your neighbors.
Yeah, a little bit more background though, because there's the neighbour 67 has a huge walnut tree in the garden, a black walnut tree, which really sort of cuts the light from just about every house on Cowan in the vicinity. Because that walnut tree is so big, we're really limited in the use of our garden during the summer because of the walnuts falling and the squirrels actually sitting up the tree, chewing the walnuts and everything dropping down. So that's why we want to extend the kitchen, because we want to actually be able to sort of have extend what's a small kitchen and have some family space. Because we can't really use the garden. So moving on from that, the back of the house, it's a Victorian house, small windows. We'd like a little bit more light into the back bedroom. So that's really where, we'd like to sort of replace that window there, which is where the idea of the sort of the extension and the terrace comes in. We really didn't think that terrace would be an issue because just if you sort of spin round from where that view is, I mean, there's like, 3 terraces on all these houses at the back are actually overlooked by a co-op building, which is on Elm Grove. I think it's the John Bruce Village Co-op, which is 3 stories high. So, looking to the left of that view, everybody's overlooked anyway. As I say, there's sort of like 3 terraces there. I think there's a minor variance plan going in on 189 Cowan, which also has a terrace. We didn't really kind of consider that a terrace on top would, be an issue to anybody because of the way we're all overlooked anyway.
Okay. So seeing right next to you, there's a large addition. Yours is going to sort of go as far as that one?
No, we're only actually going halfway along that setback on 67. Yeah.
And certainly, you're impacted by that. So, okay, let's hear from the neighbors, and you'll have a chance to reply to whatever whatever questions or concerns or comments they have. You'll have a chance to reply to that.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's go to Dana Analiunas of 169 Cowan, I guess to the rear. And can you start off by stating your name and address, please, just formally for the record, and then let us know what your concerns are. We do have your letter.
Perfect. So my name is Dana Analunas from 169 Cowan Avenue.
Yep. Okay.
Talking for the household?
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify again, the issue is a terrace, and I guess the visibility will be right. Someone sitting on that terrace will be able to see right into my kitchen, right into my master bedroom. Currently, because I run perpendicular, I'm not like beside the terrace. I currently don't have any, there's that building that they were talking about, the 3-story building that already has views. That's not at all an issue. It's really far away.
Well, it may be an issue for somebody else, right?
It might be an issue for someone else, but even I would imagine the neighbors beside 65, that building I think is quite far away. It's really different when someone is within close talking distance versus many feet away. Right. So the issue is just putting that terrace up there. There's no other, if I look everywhere, I don't see anyone else with a second level balcony that certainly would infringe on being able to view into my kitchen and bedroom or have me viewing there. So that is the concern.
Okay.
And I understand about the maple, the giant walnut tree. I have the same problem, but I just hire people to trim the limbs. I just did that last week, actually. It really helps, but I know that the nuts are crazy.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Thank you for that. We have your picture here with your sort of drawing that you've drawn in here in red.
Yeah, it's just, it would be right there. Someone sitting on that, or if they're entertaining on that terrace, would be really very, very close and very easy to see into my place. And in, the yard, I'm not so worried about, because when you're outside, you don't need the privacy, but it's the kitchen and master bedroom.
Okay. Yeah, and you've shown your master bedroom picture as well. Okay, let's now hear from, unless you anything else you'd like to add to that, let's see if committee members have any questions for you. Okay, so let's hear from the other neighbor next door at 63 Melbourne, Yasmin Zettler.
Hi, it's Yasmin Zeitler, and I live at 63 Melbourne Avenue. I'm the owner, along with my husband, Lauren Richmond.
Yeah, and we have your letter as well.
Yes, so you've read the letter then, so I don't need to restate what...
Well, if you'd like to just, highlight what your concerns are, and since you're on the line here.
So our biggest concern is the privacy. We live right next door. The picture you actually showed from Dana's comments just now, that was my picture. It shows our patio, and the square indicates exactly where the patio would be. So, 10 feet high, it would basically overlook our entire backyard. If we're doing yoga in the backyard, if we're eating our dinner, whatever we're doing in the backyard, our neighbors would have full view, 45 inches away from the property line. So privacy, of course, is our major concern. We are going to lose light. That square box you see, that's the light we would lose, especially if there's going to be a railing on top of the addition, because of course railing will take more light away from us. And I also just wanted to describe our neighborhood. And some of the pictures that Chris has posted actually show it's very treed. You can barely see the other patios or terraces that were shown at 55 Melbourne. It's a double wide lot. It takes up maybe a fifth of the property width. It has no concern to any of us. And then our very narrow lots, the 17-foot lots, they're very close together. And since we've lived there, which is a few years before Chris and Anna moved in, we've all shared that privacy, because behind us, there's also a private laneway that we share. And then behind that is a garden. So we do have a lot of privacy there. And the only terraces which are actually at, I think it's 69 Melbourne and 167 Cowan. Those are kind of an example. I mean, we don't see them very much, but we hear them. They have parties there, and they go into the night, and it's loud. And you can see, if you're not sitting down at the garden level, the voices carry. And so that's a concern, definitely. And the other, of the six buildings of the townhouses, there are a couple that do have the build outs. There's the 2th floor and the 1 floor. They don't have terraces. I know for a fact that they never, the 2 of them I know for a fact never got approval by the city. They never applied for a variance. And that is 57 and 59 Melbourne Avenue. So, basically, all I'm trying to say is I have no problems, or my husband and I have no problems with a build out. And I understand that Chris and Anna would like more privacy, more kitchen space, but it would ruin everything in our entire neighborhood, our immediate neighborhood, if that terrace goes ahead to plan. And I think that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Zeitler. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
For the speaker?
I do. I was just curious, and I think you've answered my question, but I would like to ask it anyway. In in terms of privacy, how would you feel if there were a privacy screen on that terrace, on the east side of the terrace, which would then limit any visual towards your lot? But I believe you also were concerned about loss of sunlight, and that would be the trade-off.
Well, yes. I mean, if you look at the picture again, and if they're asking for a 10-foot extension, and even if there's a privacy screen, you would still see the entire backyard. The privacy screen won't do anything. And, you know, and as you said, it would block the light.
Okay, so I'm asking that because, you know, there could be a condition saying that there has to be a 6-foot privacy screen, but that would not be to your liking then.
Not really, because it's not really giving us any more privacy. I mean, if you looked from the balcony directly to the side, sure, but if you're on a balcony, you're looking out the front of it, and you're still going to see our entire backyard.
You're next door, right?
Yeah.
Right next door,
You can
yes.
see the people across or the people at Cowan on the, you know, the key lot situation. But for you, that's often when someone has, sometimes they put in, you know, a condition, a 5-foot opaque screen on either side, or in this case, the side, your side. That's why Mr. Comeric was trying to canvass whether that condition would be something you wanted or something that you didn't want because it's going to affect some light. I think I saw in one of the letters someone actually wrote said they'd have to speak to the neighbor about maybe. I thought I saw something about that where one of the 3 letters said something about a possible screen.
In the letter that I sent, I mean, we had already, Chris and Anna had sent us these drawings way back in May, and you know, we wrote them a letter with our concerns, thinking, you know, they're our neighbors, we're friendly with them, and you know, we were thinking maybe put a live roof or something like that on it, but that letter was never addressed, so obviously they didn't want to budge on their plans.
I have a question.
Go ahead, yeah.
Would a 5 or 6 foot screen really be necessary? Because the reality is they'll be up there seated, not standing. I'm assuming they're not going to be standing for very long other than to take their seats.
No,
so would 4 feet suffice, and would that allow some sunlight to come through?
Well, again, I mean, you know, if they're up there, if anybody's up there, they're going to be looking at the views. They're going to be, you know, the views that we're going to be losing. And they're going to be standing there. If they have guests standing there, they're going to, I don't know whether they're going to be sitting.
I would think that unless they're hosting a cocktail party up there, they're going to be seated, is my feeling.
Case, Mr. Comerica just canvassed whether a fence or a screen would be preferable because it's a trade-off with the light.
I'm just saying that maybe 5 feet or 6 feet is not necessary.
Yeah, I think it's typically 5 feet maximum and opaque, but if they don't want that, because again, these are small townhouses right beside each other, so there's the trade-off. Okay, so now that we've heard from the neighbors, go back to the agent to respond to the concerns, or actually the owner. Chris?
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Chair, yeah, I'd just like to sort of add to that. I mean, the room where the terrace is going to be is a bedroom. So I think it's very unlikely that anybody's going to be standing up there. And I think it's also probably minimal that if anybody was up there, they would be seated up there. But the terrace really is more so that the French doors can open on the bedroom. You know, I don't see anybody hanging off the terrace, because that's not the case. It's just a bedroom at the back.
Yeah, that's a very valid concern that we normally ask about that to find out if I don't see, there's no variance here for the size of the second floor platform, which there is sometimes on some applications. And in those situations, I often want to know, is it off a common area like a family room, or is it off a bedroom when it's just meant for someone to go have a
That's That's just the bedroom at the
Right.
back.
So that is another mitigating factor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
can I sort of just say though that I mean we're sort of talking about it being green and leafy, but I mean it's not even winter at the moment, and you can see it as that the last picture I took looking out at all the other terraces. I mean that was taken actually a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. But that's, I mean, it's not the terraces aren't sort of covered by leafy trees. And as I say, sort of Yasmin actually mentions that terrace at 159 Cowan. Yes, there have been some parties up there. Maybe that needs to be addressed. But the point is that we are all overlooked and there has to be some tolerance. Going back to the tree, you know, Dana mentioned that she's just had one of the branches cut off on her property, but we have no respite from that tree. It's not our tree, and we have no desire to cut the tree down. It's a beautiful tree. It's just that it drops these sort of walnuts, which tend to, as you can see the picture of the garden there, tends to kill everything in the garden. Yasmin's sort of, you know, sort of email that she sent and discussion about a green roof. A green roof won't grow under a walnut tree. You know, that's a pointless exercise. I think that's all I'd like to say. As I say, it's just a terrace on a bedroom. I really, you know, if we can have the extension on the kitchen, I really think the terrace is going to be very little used. It's just purely to open the doors, you know, small extension on the bedroom at the back. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Barkas. Committee members, any follow-up questions either for Mr. Barkas or the neighbors?
Sandon.
For the Mr. Barkas, yes. Just a thought, if the principal purpose is to have access and more air from the bedroom, if the terrace were half the size and you had privacy screens on either side, would that be objectionable?
No, I'm happy to have a privacy screen, but sort of, you know, I'm a little bit confused, to be honest, by Yasmin's and Lauren's sort of objections, because they were saying that light was an issue. So that was why, you know, we envisaged trying to let as much light through as we could.
Well, hence
yeah,
my question.
Possibly even a glass railing, maybe to allow the light through. But
that was the reason for my question to her is, you know, which is more critical, the light or the privacy? Well,
the light seems critical to next door, yes. But I mean, we're happy to have a privacy screen. Yes, that's fine by us, yeah.
You know, the other issue that she was raising is that if you go to the end of the terrace, you can still overlook the backyard. Well, if the terrace is only half the depth, then you really couldn't. But anyway, just.
Well, I think unless you were hanging around deliberately looking over for some strange reason, I don't think you would be looking at it.
And so, okay, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
So, Mr. Commissioner, you were suggesting that perhaps the terrace above only go part way and not the full extent of the
addition. And that,
how do we that we put up a railing or sort of like a parapet?
So like a Juliet balcony.
Yeah, well, so the
Well,
railing.
Juliet, he didn't say that small.
I mean, we've seen a number of applications like that where the platform is restricted to less than the size of the roof.
Right.
Right, and the railing is there. I mean, someone can always jump over the railing, but
We don't have plans reflecting that. I don't know how Madam Secretary Treasurer is
so
The only thing I will caution is that you can't restrict something that they are permitted as of right. There is no variance for the size of the platform.
exactly. So in this case, that doesn't come into play, and that's why I'm not asking to restrict. I was trying to see if there was a negotiation that was possible here between the neighbors. And, I mean, normally.
May I say something, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
May I speak? Yeah, I'm sort of just a little confused because of the, you know, walking around the neighbourhood. The terrace seems such a common sort of, I don't know, GTA or Canadian design. Like it, most of the properties, if you just walk around the neighbourhood, would in some case be overlooking, like it.
Well, again, every property is different. These are townhouse properties that are attached as opposed to single family, so you can't really make that. But what we have is
Yeah.
what's before us. We're not going to limit the size because
I'm very, very familiar with this
permitted
type of
as of
home.
right.
That's my previous house was
Yeah.
exactly that. And so and we did an alteration to the back kitchen, so I know exactly where they're coming from.
Right.
And, when we do the live meetings, you have an opportunity to go out in the hall and discuss with your neighbors some options. And, forgive me for doing this, but I'm trying to facilitate some of that in this new virtual era, which doesn't allow us to do that.
Very good point. Very
Yes.
good point. Before COVID, when you were waiting, we wouldn't just go in order. We'd have the contested applications held to the end, and we'd recommend people would go out in the hall. Sometimes they just didn't understand what the variances were about. But oftentimes people would, as Mr. Cromerc is stating, reach some kind of a compromise it looks like everyone here is on good terms. It's a pretty tight-knit neighborhood. And that's why these things sometimes, if things can be worked out. But in this case, we really couldn't limit that because there is, Madam Secretary Treasurer said.
No, and I'm not proposing to
Yeah.
to limit. I'm just trying to see if, as a neighbor, the applicant might propose to change it, but that's not up to me. That's up to, anyway.
Correct.
You
Okay,
can't-
so
Being a virtual mediator doesn't really work, so.
Not really, no.
So I guess we've spent some time on this, so I think what we need now is a motion on this application.
I'm prepared to make a
Yeah,
motion
there is an
for
urban
approval.
forestry condition.
Yeah. There is an urban forestry condition number 2. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. So because this is permitted as of right, I'm going to make a motion for approval. I would strongly recommend, however, that you discuss the type of privacy screen or whatever the neighbor would like you to do, you would consider that. That's what my provision would be in the approval of this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if I'm just hoping that you can have that discussion and then come to an appropriate settlement.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my motion.
Motion is to approve. Remember, there is only one variance. There's one variance, so that's approved. You recommend approval of that?
Yes, with the urban
urban
forestry
forestry.
condition
Thank you
number
for that
2.
motion. Do we have a seconder for Ms. Alder's motion? Ms. McCluskey, all in favor? You have unanimous approval. Thank you, sir. Thank you, neighbors.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving along to item number 13, which is our last item of the morning session. It is 23 Kilbarry Road. It's an application to alter a 2-story detached dwelling by constructing a 1-story rear addition. There is only one variance, a depth of 1.4 meters over the 17-meter requirement. And we have on this application, we have support letters. No, we have depth. No, we have nothing. We have no comments from city staff, no comments from, other than urban forestry is requesting condition number 2. But we have no comment from neighbors. And registered to speak is Gary Yen, the agent, and Lance Chen, the owner. I guess the agent will be speaking. Mr. Yen?
Yes, hi, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This is Gary Yen from Studio Architectonic. We're the agent for homeowner Lance. In front of us is an application where this is an existing concrete deck.
Okay.
With deck on the 2nd floor. The homeowner is, there's a rear garage with a shared driveway with the neighbors. The home proposing a mud room towards the rear, enclosing the existing deck. So we're not building out any further.
Yep.
We're just enclosing the existing footprint. And we believe this is minor in nature. We have supports from the neighbors, although not written, but we have spoken and communicated with neighbors, and they're all in support.
Yeah, okay, thank you, sir. So yeah, like I said, there is only one variance of 1.4 meters in the depth. And that's no comments other than urban forestry. You're aware of the urban forestry condition and you have no problem with that?
Yes, that's correct. We believe there's no trees on our property that's in question. What we can assume is the neighboring property on 25. There's a tree closer to this, but again, we're not building out. This is existing concrete deck that we're just building a wood structure on top.
Okay.
So there will be no excavation, but we have received the notice from the urban forestry late last week.
Okay.
We have since retained an arborist to apply for the application.
Okay, thank you. Do any committee members have any questions for the agent, or are we ready for a motion?
I think I'm good to do a motion. I would like to do a couple of conditions, though. I do find the application to be minor, desirable, meeting the 4 tests, et cetera. I would like to be conditional on forestry condition number 2. I'm not 100% sure why. But I would also like to tie it to the drawing, to the substantially in accordance with the drawing, so that we understand that the variance is for that existing area only, and it's not to allow the entire house to be to enlarge the entire house. It's just for that existing area.
Okay, which plan would that be? The perhaps the site plan or
Site
all
plan
the
will work.
plans?
Is there a date on that?
We do have a date.
There's only one set of plans on file, so.
Yeah, January 29th.
Okay, so we don't need to date it, because if there's the only one, then that's
Well, usually there's date stamped or whatever, in some way of identifying, but
okay.
yeah, the question is whether probably a good idea, unless it would have triggered another motion. Now, we don't know how close they are to their coverage or whatever, so it's appropriate, I believe, to limit that, to tie it to that plan. But Madam Secretary Treasurer, would you like it tied to one plan as opposed to all the plans?
It's up to the member, but
Okay.
it's just the plans on file. We don't need to refer to.
Okay.
the date.
No, that's fine.
Great, okay. So that's your motion. We have a seconder for Mr. Merrick's motion. Ms. Alderson, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Yen, Mr. Chen.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And we have now stand adjourned until 1 p.m. to do the afternoon session.
I think that's a first, isn't it? We actually got an hour and a half for lunch.
Took a break, yeah.